Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Here is what's called an oops quote. Didn't mean to let it slip, but they said it anyway. We don't necessarily discriminate. We simply exclude certain types of people. Oops. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot. Call in with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. On a day where out one window it doesn't look too bad, and then you look out the other window and you go, holy moly, it's going to get ugly out there. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a big spring tire sale going on right now. And also don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, that was good. Really good. Thank you for your call, Doug. I appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's time to find out what this weather is going to do next. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Roger and the crew have already been there for over an hour. They get there at 7 o'clock in the morning to serve you with all the tools and equipment and all the gardening equipment, the power rakes and the rototillers. Ho, 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 they got it all for you. All you need to do is stop in on the Burley-Paul Highway or give them a call at 678-3122. K&R Rental. Right now, here's the lovely Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Monday, and, well, you know, it's a typical Monday, especially day before tax day, and it's springtime. So we're looking at 40% chance of rain showers for today, possible snow showers for tonight. Yep, I did say the S word. High of 48 tonight, low of 31 tomorrow. Partly sunny and breezy. Looking at winds out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour, gusts possible as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 47, partly cloudy and breezy for tomorrow night with a low of 28. For Wednesday, mostly sunny and 54 Wednesday night. More clouds are going to roll in with a low of 36. 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast for Thursday with a high of 56 as we kick off the weekend on Friday. Mostly sunny and 61. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow, it's going to be a little bit springtime out there this week. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Hello, Roger and the crew on the Burley-Paul Highway. K&R Rental, 678-3122. Now, as I mentioned to you, and this was a couple of times last week, be prepared for a lot of political announcements. We are in the season, so be aware that we've got a lot of things to cover on the program during the course of every day. I want to remind you about Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Don't forget, they can absolutely clean anything and get it ready and help restore it so that you can put it away safely, and it'll be ready for you come next fall if it's your warm clothing, your sweaters, your jackets, whatever the case is. Stop in and see the best, and that is Daryl's Cleaners, and they're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Really good folks, Kevin and Cindy at Daryl's Cleaners, serving you. By the way, too, our thanks go out to our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Good morning. And, of course, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. That's not bragging. That's a fact. They are there. They've been serving you for almost 60 years, and they've got it all. That's right. They're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. Open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric. You stop in and see them today. Wow. Obama was, and if you're offended by this, it's the way it is and the way it was. Obama was worthless at backing up his red line threats to Assad of Syria. Didn't do a thing. A lot of lip service, but that was it. But Trump, on the other hand, went in a year ago and shook hands with Assad with a missile between them, as a matter of fact, quite a few missiles. And in another attack the other evening, let Assad know, and I think Syria, Iran, and anybody else, Russia, that this is a man and this is an administration that will not make a line in the sand and then make his foot make it disappear and then draw another line in the sand. A lot of people criticized Trump. A lot of people said he was a warmonger, etc. I don't feel that way at all. He said what needed to be done. He did what other presidents only gave lip service to. And I absolutely think that he and his advisors sat down before Trump went on national television, and they said, this is what's going to happen while you are giving this speech, and that's the way it is. But the pettiness, and I want you to comment on this, the pettiness and the ridiculousness and the juvenile attitude of the left. When it was done, it was over. And our ships and the launching of these Tomahawks, etc., was finished. President Trump said, mission accomplished and message has been sent. For some reason, the Democrats absolutely started crawling over barbed wire fences. Well, he can't say mission accomplished. Oh, that's terrible. Well, that's just not the way it is. Pettiness. Absolute juvenile pettiness over words used like mission accomplished. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please, I'd like to hear from you. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, America's Diner. They've got some new additions to their menus, like the Blaster Fire Burger, and the Co-Reactor Pancake Breakfast, all of this and so much more, with an absolutely delicious menu anytime, all the time, at Denny's Restaurant. You stop in, you will enjoy. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley. It is America's Diner. Caller, hold on, because as you know, we are in the middle of political season, and therefore we have a lot of things that we need to take care of, including a lot of our great friends that are on this program. And I want to acknowledge that Leonard Beck wants your vote on May 15th to be your District 1 Cassia County Commissioner. Leonard will be your voice for economic growth, protecting property rights, and helping promote education and job opportunities for our youth. Leonard Beck, a lifelong resident of Cassia County, wants to be a strong voice for you. Vote Leonard Beck for Cassia County Commissioner May 15th, paid for by the committee to elect Leonard Beck, District 1 Cassia County Commissioner, Devon Rucker, Treasurer. And while we have just a few moments here, as I turn my pages, I tried to be so absolutely organized and get everything done the way it should be. I put little tabs on the edges of these so I could get everybody on the air. Oh, I'm ready. Hey, vote May 15th for Kevin Williams running for your state representative position, District 27. Kevin is pro-Second Amendment. Kevin is pro-teacher support for our education systems, and Kevin is very supportive of our police and ag economy. Fresh new ideas for a strong, more productive Idaho, paid for by Kevin Williams for State Representative District 27, Kevin Williams, Treasurer. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
My friend.
I think it was Thursday or Friday that Deanne called my wife and told her about Melanie Bond.
Yes.
Can you tell us any more about when the services would be?
I do not know too much more about it, except that our condolences and our heartfelt grief goes out to John Bond and his entire family. I understand all of his children are here, and I can't comment on it right now, nor do I want to, due to the fact that I don't know information, that I don't want to give any misinformation. But if we hear of anything as soon as possible, I will give that on the air.
That would be great.
Okay.
And I've had the opportunity to visit with the Bonds when they come to Lunch Bunch, and they're really wonderful people.
They are. And
my condolences go out for the family also.
Keith, I got to tell you that I don't want to use the word allegiance because that sounds almost a little cold. But seriously, my friendship and my love towards each and every individual that has become a part of the Lunch Bunch family, and we are a family. A lot of people look forward every month to coming down and visiting with their friends. And it's so hard to hear of losing any and all of the members on occasion. I just absolutely give my prayers and my thoughts to the Bond family as you do. Thank you for that call this morning. I appreciate it.
I want you to be locked and loaded for Lunch Bunch. My wife has talked to Helen, and she's ready for you.
Now that is
be on the alert.
That is a kind of a fearful and very cold feeling that you've just sent to me, because I know that Helen is packing probably one of the world's biggest squirt guns, and she has nailed me on numerous occasions in the back of my head. I am going to be ready, and I appreciate that warning, because I'm going to go in with the utmost of caution.
Well, I've got to warn you, I think that weapon, let's just call it a weapon, was originated from your hands. Is that correct?
That has nothing to do with it. Thank you for your call. Thanks, Keith. I got to run and get a commercial in, buddy. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, Keith, I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, living at home, it can be risky if you're a senior living at home alone. And I want to stress the fact that Pomerelle Place can help you. Yes, they offer the ability for seniors to maintain their independence both safely and very comfortably. You don't want to be at home alone, and you don't want to face all the safety hazards and the potential of injuries and not having proper meals. Good heavens. I mean, Pop-Tarts are not a 7-course dinner, as you know. And missed medication, please, I urge you to give a call to Pomerelle Place, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. The number to call is 678-8212. Oh, I said that wrong. 677-8212. I correct that number. 677-8212. Pomerelle Place, serving you and your loved ones. Please give them a call today. Also, real quick, before we continue on, I want your calls. I want to remind you about our friends over at Dino Septic Service. Oh, my goodness sakes. They really do a job that you and I and everybody else doesn't want to do. That's right. They get right down in there, and they take care of all the septic tank pumping and all the backhoe service and the sewer and sink drain lines cleaned. Yeah, liquid waste removal. they are there. Fast, fare, friendly service. Absolutely. And don't forget, too, in Rupert, the number to call, 436-6526, or in Burley at 678-1638. Dino's Septic Service in Rupert. I'm telling you, with that big old truck that says Smells Cargo on the way to serve you. Call them today. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, after meeting with his advisors, and I want to make this point perfectly clear, the attack on Syria, the attack on Assad, the attack on the chemical processing plants was of the lesser attack than what Trump and many advisors wanted. So the reason I'm saying this morning is that to all those naysayers that said that if Trump was president, he would go in there and he'd say, I want this done and this is the way it's going to be. No, that didn't happen. No, that did not happen. As a matter of fact, he and many of his military advisors had suggested and really opted for a much more severe attack, and then some of the other military advisors said this, that, and the other, and they chose, according to the reports that I've read and some of the people I've talked to, they chose out of the three options, actually, the lesser option. The lesser option. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
And I was listening to, I think it was Dan Bongino.
Yep.
And he was commenting on this, and he says, one thing people have failed to mention and notice, that Russia did not fire one anti-aircraft missile.
That is correct.
So think about that. Had Russia fired one, then that would have been an aggression on us, which Russia does not want.
Yep.
Russia does not want to tangle with this president, and he knows that. Still there?
Yeah, I am. Go ahead.
Oh, I can barely hear you.
Well, I don't know what's happening, but the sound isn't the way it should be right now, but hopefully they'll get that corrected over there. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I thought that was rather interesting. Nobody else has mentioned that. But when that was stated, I thought, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, Doug, why in the world, I guess my original question would be, and a lot of people ask, chemical weapons? Really? Don't we have enough of bombs and bullets and other ways of mayhem and killing? Do we have to resort to the most heinous of all kinds, chemical weapons? I think any and all chemical weapons, and I mean this. I am not trying to turn into one of these little liberals that floats around the room. I'm just saying that chemical weapons, Doug, do we need them? No. I absolutely am against them. I think it's the most inhumane source of killing that could ever be known to mankind.
And I agree with you there, but look how much money the Assad regime has.
Yeah.
They're broke. What is the cheapest weapon of mass destruction?
Well, and you know, and I know, that the Syrian regime with Assad, you know the money's not coming in from their own government, because really, when you look at the overall input of money coming in to support the government, where's it coming from? It's not, because their economy right now has nothing to stand up and yell and scream about. They're bringing in this money from foreign countries, i.e., Iran and Russia.
Well, and also United States with the money that Obama gave Iran.
Well, of course, we're subsidizing basically criminal intent in the world.
Exactly. Obama has blood on his hands from these chemical weapons.
I got to tell you this morning that my attitude on this, and I've tried to be open-minded to the point where over the weekend I was just very cautious about someone or anyone that would come up to me and damn Trump or say he's a warmonger and everything else. I was loaded for bear. But you know something I saw from the people that I visited with? I have seen, and I think you have too, a reserved but yet studious president that looked at this situation and bent to the ways and whims of people that knew more about what to do than he did.
Exactly. And Great Britain was in there with us,
Yep.
so was France.
Yep.
And there's a lot of countries in the Middle East that applaud us for what we did.
Absolutely.
And stand behind us.
Yep.
So the only ones that voted down against it in the UN special meeting was Russia, China, and Bolivia, I think.
Yeah, how can you, and I know this is hard to answer, and then I've got to do a long break here, but how can anybody side with Russia and or Iran and or China and or North Korea when their main intent is to kill, maim, and destroy and take over? I mean, where's the mindset here?
Well, the mindset is evil.
Yeah.
And evil will succeed if good people do nothing.
I cannot agree more.
President Trump does not do nothing.
Well, and this is the whole key to wrap up our conversation. You know, I guess it kind of goes back to the old Gunsmoke TV series. Matt Dillon walks out on the street. There's another bad guy. The bad guy draws first, shoots first, and Matt Dillon wipes him out. You know what? I am sick and tired of the United States having to wait until the bad guy shoots and then wipe him out. You know what? We've got to take a proactive stance and make sure the bad guys don't walk out on the street.
That's right. We need good people to stand up to defeat evil.
I got to run. Doug, thank you so much.
Everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them, and God bless.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Right now, I want to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and all of his great physical therapists. Got a little pain in the elbow, bunky. Oh, my goodness, had surgery on your leg. Or maybe you took a bad spill. Well, listen, they can help you because they know all the exercises. They've got the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in the area, and they are good at helping you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191. Call them today. They can, and they will help you. Want to remind you, too, more of our great politicals that are running for office, and we want to turn the page. You know, I don't think too much of my system here right now because I got to tell you, it is devoid of any real good organizational skills on my part. And I want to remind you, too, that May 15th, re-elect Tim Darrington as Cassia County Commissioner, District 3. Tim knows that Cassia County has a lot to offer with its heritage and history, and he wants to help move the county forward. Tim Darrington has been very involved in updating county policy reimbursement and in updating Cassia's software. Re-elect Tim Darrington as Cassia County Commissioner, District 3, May 15th, paid for by the Darrington for Commissioner Committee, Gail Erickson, Treasurer. And Deanne just brought me a note that said, and it's true, it's snowing outside. And I was hoping to rope tonight. Boy, that makes me feel good. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, if you get a good horse, ride it. When you get a great representative for District 27, keep him. Re-elect Fred Woods, District 27 on May 15th. Fred Wood, integrity serving you. Fred Wood for District 27. Paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer. I got to give away some cookies right now. I really do. And the cookies are from Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, everybody loves the cookies. I barely get off the phone sometimes, and people are already calling over to Sophie's to order their cookies. Yep, we're going to give a dozen of cookies away right now to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 E Street on the square in Rupert. And all the different cookies and pies and cakes and muffins and wedding cakes. Oh, my goodness, what a restaurant, what a bakery at Sophie's Chatterbox. Now, this is for first-time winners only. And here is the question for today. And think about this for a minute. At one point, I should say, in his career of being a movie and television star, former President Ronald Reagan hosted what TV show? At one point in his movie and TV career, President Ronald Reagan hosted what TV show Western? Call right now. What one was it? And give me a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. First one that calls with the right answer gets a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. At one point in his movie and TV career, before he became president, President Reagan hosted what TV Western? Give me a call quickly. And while I'm waiting for your call, I also want to remind you about our dear friend, Bob Nonini. Idaho needs Nonini. Bob Nonini for lieutenant governor. Vote May 15th for proven effective conservative leadership. Bob Nonini has 25 years of experience in local and state Republican politics. He believes in quality, affordable health care and, of course, parental choice in education. Wants to create a positive business climate with limited government involvement. Vote for Bob Nonini for Lieutenant Governor on May 15th, paid for by the committee to elect Bob Nonini to Lieutenant Governor, Treasurer R. Scott Hogue. Quickly, what's the answer? I can just envision everybody going to their computers and trying to pull that up real quick. At one point in his movie and TV career, what TV Western did Ronald Reagan host before he became president? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Death Valley Days.
And what is your name?
This is Connie Vaughn.
Connie, what's the last name? Spell it for me, please.
Vaughn.
Oh, Vaughn. V-A-U-G-H-N?
G-H-A-N.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it right. I doubt that they can see it on the radio, though. Connie, you are sharp. Now, how did you know that?
Well, because we watch Death Valley Days all the time.
You and me both, the music with that big old wagon going across the salt flats down there. Oh, my goodness, yes. He was the host of Death Valley Days. And all you have to do is call Sophie's Chatterbox and tell them when you'll be in for your cookies, okay?
Okay.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
All righty, there you go, Connie Vaughn. And it was Death Valley Days. And I love those old TV shows, those old TV westerns, man. They are my favorites. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244. I want to talk to you a little bit about the New Yorker magazine and what they have done against Chick-fil-A. You're not going to believe this. Hey, don't forget on May 15th, vote for Senator Kelly Anthon, District 27. Proven leadership with strong conservative values. Senator Kelly Anthon wants to preserve our Western small-town way of life, serving you in the Idaho Senate. Kelly believes in low taxes, the Second Amendment, and minimal government in our lives. Amen. Remember to re-elect Senator Kelly Anthon, District 27 on May 15th, paid for by the committee to elect Kelly Anthon, Idaho State Senate. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The New Yorker magazine, with a guy by the name of Dan Pipering, wrote that New Yorkers should not accept the intrusion of a popular restaurant serving chicken because the owner happens to be a religious Christian. Let that soak in just a little bit this morning. I'm not kidding. This Dan Pipering wrote an article in the New Yorker magazine, and he absolutely said, and I want to make sure that we give a quote here, that having Chick-fil-A come into New York City was a creepy infiltration. This is how disgusting the left is today, with an anti-Christian attitude, and this is one of the reasons why I think we as a country are going to hell. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, before I answer your question, I want to mention something about Death Valley Days. One of the other great hosts that they never mentioned was Dale Robertson. I love that guy. He just really, really made that show important, don't you think?
Well, Dale Robertson was an entity unto himself with the big Haymaker Ranch back in Oklahoma, not that far from Oklahoma City. He raised some outstanding quarter horses, and of course he had the TV show The Tales of Wells Fargo. But go ahead and make your point, Keith, quickly, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, on this comment that you're making about, you know, so often lately religion has come into play, and it's all like almost like you're saying, I want to pick a fight with you. That's just what it's all about. It really isn't that important to them, but they want to stir things up.
Well, who are you talking about, they?
One bully always does. He always gets two guys stirred up enough to fight, and then he just stands back and watches the fight.
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. Chick-fil-A, I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. Chick-fil-A is not trying to stir anything up by creating their businesses all across the United States. That's called free enterprise and a free society. But when these idiot columnists like this man, Dan Pipering with the New Yorker magazine, start criticizing and demonizing Christians for being Christians, you don't walk into a Chick-fil-A and have to bow down and say a prayer before you order. I mean, I am absolutely sick and tired of the denigration of Christians and Christian bashing, and I'm going to talk about it on my program, and I'm going to go after these people like the New Yorker magazine and this idiot Dan Pipering, and let people know what kind of a lowlife he is.
That's what I mean about. I was talking about the aggressor here, the one that's against Chick-fil-A and everything that Christianity stands for. But they like to stir it up and then just step back and watch the fire burn.
Yeah. And this is getting worse every day across the United States. I had somebody about 3 weeks ago call me and say, "Oh, you always get on your program and you say that Christians, why they're being bashed and smashed and why they're not, everybody treats them with all the respect." No, when you hear stories about this and the calling of the owners of Chick-fil-A as being creepy infiltrators into basically a town that's turned into Sodom and Gomorrah, that's New York City, I get really upset, and I'm going to fight in the favor of Christians in these stories.
Go, Zeb, go.
All right, my friend, thank you for your call. God bless you. Appreciate it. You know, and how can anybody... Honestly, how can anybody look at what's going on with Chick-fil-A and the owners and the expansion of their business? I mean, they're expanding into different territories up and down the East Coast, started originally down in the southern part of our country, the southern tier, and expanding into the West, expanding up into the North, creating job opportunities, creating managerial opportunities. Nothing wrong with it. Yes, the family is a devout Christian family that started the business. But what is wrong with that? Somebody call me if you've got any backbone out there and tell me what is wrong with that. They're not demanding anything of their employees. They don't open up on Sunday. When I was a boy, a lot of businesses, as a matter of fact, most of them would not be owning or operating on Sundays. So what? That's their belief. And I respect them for their beliefs. You see, the cowards on the left, they will never, except on very few occasions, attack you face-to-face or in a verbal debate. They wait until the show is over, or they send you an anonymous letter, or they have somebody else do their dirty work for them. They are cowards. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. 3 locations serving you. They are good. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and in Nampa. Now, the weather doesn't look like we should be talking about Walker lawnmowers, but I'm going to anyway because I'm thinking optimistically. It's snowing here at my office right now, and I hope it quits. But anyway, the Walker mowers, they've got them at the Twin Falls and Burley locations, and you can really mow your lawn, your neighbor's lawn, and people you don't even know their lawns. Wow. Equipment rentals, retail equipment sales, all of this and more at Berry Equipment and Rental. Sales, service, and parts with Juan at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, and Eli at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and up in Nampa. Berry Equipment and Rental, they are the best. By the way, too, Airvana is defined as the ultimate level of comfort you'll achieve with the presence of a new Lennox home comfort system. And when you buy a new Lennox system at Ramsey Heating and Electric, you can get up to $1,700 in rebates. Airvana is just another way to make you feel better. So call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0469. You guys and gals out there remember the man by the name of R. Lee Ermey? And you're scratching your head and you're going, no, I don't remember a man by the name of R. Lee Ermey. Well, how about if I gave you his nickname? Gunny. Does that start to register? Does that start to open the doors? Well, if you'll remember this real Marine, R. Lee Ermey. He played a drill sergeant in a lot of movies and just absolutely was well known by his nickname as Gunny. And very unfortunately, he passed away over the weekend at the, I'm going to say this because he wasn't that much older than me, at the young age of 74. He had pneumonia complications, and he passed away. He was known as that gruff voice. Hey, you will do this, and you will do that. Remember him? R. Lee Ermey, known as Gunny, passed away. Also, another note of sadness, former First Lady Barbara Bush, 92 years of age, close to going home to the Lord. And the family is gathered in Houston, and they're all around her. And I do not know the status as to the last newscast that we had at 8 o'clock till this morning, but I know that it was very touch and go. Very strong First Lady. To President Bush, her husband, Barbara Bush, 92 years of age, in failing health this morning. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Would you like somebody living in your backyard? Yeah. Would you like the government to tell you that you would have to let someone build in your backyard and live in your backyard that is a homeless person or a group of homeless persons? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Right now, I also want to remind you, integrity serving you. Re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood on May 15th. Fred has protected the economic value of Idaho's water. He has worked diligently to increase education funding and higher teacher salaries. Fred has stood firm for tax cuts and low taxes with a small, efficient government. Re-elect Representative Fred Wood, District 27 on May 15th. It's true integrity serving you, paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, treasurer. I think we better get a weather forecast on here because holy smokes, what I'm seeing outside, it ain't good, buckaroos. Looks a little snowy and wet. My goodness sakes, the weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they, of course, are located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, 312-0957, the number to call. And they are dedicated to serving people with hearing loss of all ages and their families. Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Monday, and, well, you know, it's a typical Monday, especially day before tax day, and it's springtime. So we're looking at 40% chance of rain showers for today, possible snow showers for tonight. Yep, I did say the S word. High of 48 tonight, low of 31 tomorrow. Partly sunny and breezy. Looking at winds out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour, gusts possible as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 47, partly cloudy and breezy for tomorrow night with a low of 28. For Wednesday, mostly sunny and 54. Wednesday night, more clouds are going to roll in with a low of 36. 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast for Thursday with a high of 56 as we kick off the weekend on Friday, mostly sunny and 61. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad at the week's end, but look out, build a snowman today, maybe. Weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And again, the number to call for a hearing screening, please do it. They help me, they can help you. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Well, guess what? The state of California is coming out with this idea. And like the headline said on this one story, here's an idea that wouldn't survive the laughter in most U.S. communities 6 months, a year ago or whatever. But now, watch out. What's going on in California? The idea is to build little homes or large huts in your backyard and let people that are homeless live in your backyard. Yeah. And according to the county, I think it's L.A. County, the pilot program, homeowners would be covered by government low-income housing vouchers, with homeless tenants contributing 30% of their income. But wait a minute, I draw the line there. If they're homeless, how would they be able to pay 30% of their income? Where did they get the money? Under the program, the county would lend $75,000 to homeowners to build a backyard house, or $50,000 for a garage-type renovation, for up to 6 units living on your property. Now, I've got some questions. Who qualifies to move into your backyard? Are these little backyard huts or houses, are they going to have bathrooms, plumbing? Are they going to have these people that move into your backyard that are homeless, are they going to be given a key so they can come into your house and use the facilities? Oh, goody. What about when they have this little facility in your backyard? Are there going to be restrictions about inviting their friends from the homeless areas of L.A. over to mess up and totally destroy your property? What about thefts? What about your cars? What about your family's security? All of these questions don't seem to be answered or even touched upon when these people in California start saying, gee, wouldn't it be great to have somebody living in your backyard, a homeless person or persons? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
The first thing that comes to my mind is your home value.
Bingo.
You remember when there was somebody of a different color or something moving into a neighborhood, the property values went down? That was nothing compared to what this would do to your neighborhood.
But you can't be discriminatory anymore with the rules and regulatory means and methods. And I agree with you.
I'm not going to buy a house that's been occupied by them. Are you?
Well, heavens no. But I wouldn't even consider supplying the property to build a small house or a hut or a garage type on my program, you are opening up a Pandora's box of security problems, insurance problems, and all kinds of social problems by having them on your property, and you can't control who goes and who comes. This is a nightmare.
Well, if you see how they live on the streets and everything, they don't clean after themselves.
No.
They throw trash around and everything else. Are they going to be any better when they're in your backyard?
Well, L.A. County has reached out to over 500 homeowners to get feedback on whether they'd be interested or not. And fortunately, less than 1 in 5 has even responded. But boy, I don't like the government sticking their nose into private property and saying, "Oh, come on, be a good person and house the homeless." I'm telling you, Keith, this is just one more way for communal living forced upon us by the government.
Well, and what I've seen of the homeless, they will kill each other and everything for a $10 bill.
Yeah.
And that is a true story. And so do you want somebody in your backyard like that?
I am really concerned about this story because, good heavens, why would a family with little children, or why would anyone that has the value of their property and the material things that they have worked hard for all their life, and they want to have those for their family usage, and then they open up their property to basically a communal living that you have no control over what's going to happen? That is absolutely ridiculous. I got another call waiting, Keith. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly, go.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I think the government needs to worry more about what they're doing than what the homeless people need. I don't want homeless people in my yard. I'm a very Christian, loving, God-fearing person, but I don't want that in my backyard.
Well, wait a minute, though, Donna. Let's play devil's advocate with this just for a quick minute. Bear with me here. There are those that are going to say, well, we have to have a good Christian attitude, and they're going to come out and they're going to say, well, you've got all the amenities that life can offer. Certainly you'll help someone else. Wait a minute. I have worked hard, you have worked hard all your life to attain and achieve the things that you have. Is the government going to put a pity party out for us to feel sorry for what we have and to look in the mirror and say, oh, well, I've got to give it all away to somebody that's less fortunate? In many cases, these homeless absolutely have not taken the time and effort to be self-responsible, and it's not my fault or yours, but it's theirs.
I totally agree. My sentiments exactly. I don't mind helping people, but not in my own backyard. Let the government officials have them in their backyard and see how long that lasts.
How would you like to come home and let's say it's on a Friday evening and you and George have been out to eat and all of a sudden there's like 30 or 40 people congregating in your backyard. They got the happy weed hanging out of their lips and they're drinking and having a good old time. Hey, isn't that a great thing for your property?
It wouldn't last very long, I can tell you that much.
Amen. Thank you for your call.
You betcha. Have
God
a wonderful
bless.
day.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I want to remind you, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a roll into spring, big spring tire sale. Bit my lip. And don't forget they've got a lot of the tires for your cars, pickups, and SUVs on sale. All you need to do is just get a hold of them today. Stop in at any of the 7 locations. Check it out, along with the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Holy moly, the best of service. They are good. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely. Well, here's the game plan. Coming up at 9:06, we've got Frosty Woolridge coming on the program. And then at 9:30, Brian Boucher. And we've got a lot of interesting people headed for the rest of the morning. Right now, we're going to go over to our main studio, and they're going to have this word for Tommy Alquist, and then lead us up to the news from CBS. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning, and welcome. welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a wintry morning, to say the least. Snow and rain and wind and everything else going on out there. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the big spring tire sale. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, I know old Sean's got his finger popped on the button over there. He's going to hear this good word for Western Waste Services.
Canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
The pros at Western Waste Services, literally getting rid of your garbage. Absolutely. The number to call, 734-6969. I urge you to get on the route service and have them come by once a week, pick up your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Thanks to our friends at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. Call them today, 734-6969. Right now, we also want to remind you about our friends at Lennox. Airvana is defined as the ultimate level of comfort you'll achieve with the presence of a new Lennox home comfort system. When you buy a new Lennox system at Ramsey Heating and Electric, you can get up to $1,700 in rebates. Airvana is just another way to make you feel better, so call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. And like I said, well, hold on, Frosty, I'm a-coming. Before we go too much further, we've got our politicals to take care of. On May 15th, re-elect Roger Morley of Jerome County Commission, District 3. Roger Morley has always said, yes, we can when it comes to being pro-Jerome County. He understands local folks and local problems and wants to continue to work for Jerome County with a pro-jobs, pro-ag, pro-people attitude. Re-elect Roger Morley, District 3, Jerome County Commissioner on May 15th, paid for by the committee to re-elect Roger Morley, Jerome County Commissioner, Lorraine Morley, Treasurer. And another gentleman that's got his hat in the ring to be a county commissioner in a different area. Kent Searle wants your vote to become District 3 Cassia County Commissioner on May 15th. Kent Searle, lifelong resident of Cassia County, has the experience of being a farmer and as the service to you and, of course, as an EMT and a first responder, and has gained your trust serving on the Ag Advisory Committee and the Gateway Power Line Committee. Kent Searle says, together we can make Cassia County even better. Kent Searle for District 3, Cassia County Commissioner, May 15th, paid for by the committee to elect Kent Searle, Dan Gammon, Treasurer. Whew. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And without any further ado, my friend and your friend, and that's Frosty Woldridge. Good morning, Frosty. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Delighted to be on the show this morning. And I would direct all of the listeners, every one of you, to go to my latest column at newswithviews.com, and it's titled Our Endless International Wars, None of Our Business Around the World. This latest attack now going on in Syria, again, puts us right back into the war footing that has literally killed thousands and thousands of people, certainly our own soldiers, but also millions of people in other countries. And I've been getting, I can't believe it, I usually get anywhere from 40 to 50 emails from my columns each time they publish on News with Views and, of course, all the other websites. But this one, I've almost got 100 emails, and from former Vietnam veterans and Korean veterans saying, thank you for stating the facts and the truth about what these wars are all about. And they're about money and bankers and corporations, and the rest of us that are out there serving in the United States Army or any of the armed forces are the ones that get killed on the battlefield. So I hope that everyone gets a chance to see that piece today.
You know, and we've been friends for, what has it been, almost 20 years. And
about 20 years, and it's been a real pleasure and a joy, and I really look forward to our time together.
Well, and you know, I do too, but you know, when we have a difference of opinion, you and I as friends have been able to arbitrate and still be friends and shake hands. I take a little bit of a different twist to this because of the circumstances. And the reason I say that is I was absolutely in favor of going in and absolutely eliminating the chemical weapons processing plants over in Syria for the use of the most heinous way to die that there is known to mankind, and that's through chemical warfare. I was absolutely in favor of getting rid of them. I am absolutely in favor of backing off our ships and our airplanes right now and saying, okay, we did our deed. We wiped that chemical processing plants out. We're going to back off. And I honestly think it should have been done. I disagree with you somewhat, my friend.
Well, and I respect that and your view 100%. What I tried to do here was bring a broader sense of what we're facing as a nation. You know, I was born in 1947. You know, I'm 71 years old. And I, as a kid, watched 33,000 American troops go over there and get killed in Korea in a civil war that we had nothing to do with and we had none of our business to be in. And then we got 53,000 of our kids killed in Vietnam, and I thought I was going to die. I mean, when I was in basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, I went through all the firefights and all the other stuff and simulated bomb runs and you name it. I was terrified of dying. And, I had one of my roommates die there in Nam, and quite a few friends die, and all that created, and all it was a banker's war, and it made money for 10 years. And so the same thing going on. 17 years of fighting a goat herder nation in Afghanistan, and we haven't won, and we haven't lost, but we've lost a total of 6,000, almost 7,000 troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. So what I tried to do in this, besides the fact that we're $7 trillion in debt, and then when you look at the consequences in our inner cities and our educational systems and all the other infrastructure going to heck, and the racial conflicts we're having in this country, that's why I wrote this piece. At the same time, I certainly agree with you that we need to do something about such heinous things as these chemical warfare. So we're not so far apart on this thing, Zeb. I'm just trying to get a grander view of what has been happening to our country over the last 60 years, and that's it. We just keep making these wars up, and we keep sticking our nose in everybody else's business.
No, and I
don't think we're that far off.
No, we're not. But I think if we would sit down and each of us make a T-graph and the pros and the cons, we may be a lot closer on this issue than we're even surmising that we are right now. But what I'm saying is, I don't want any absolutely worthless human being like Assad or anyone else connected to his regime and or administration or Iran or Russia, whatever, making and processing any more of the absolute heinous chemical weapons that can burn children's lungs out and have people gasping for air, begging to be put down and die. I don't want any more of that. And if there's an opportunity to go in and destroy them and also kill the people that are processing that, I say open the Bombay doors because I want to push the button.
And I agree with you. We are really on the same page here. And so I'm in total agreement that this kind of heinous activity is reminiscent of all the mustard gas back in World War II, and these guys just writhing on the ground when the gas hit, and all the consequences thereof. And the fact that humans are still doing this is just amoral on a level that it reaches and stretches beyond my comprehension.
Absolutely. Now, on another story, and here's what we have to do, Frosty. As you're well aware, you've been on the radio with me for years. We have a multiplicity of commercials to play during the program because of political ads and others. I'm going to ask you to stay on hold just for 60 seconds, and I want to come back and I want to applaud you for absolutely one of the best articles I think you've written in a long time about anchor babies, and I want you to get into that in just a moment. Would you please?
Sounds great.
All right, thank you. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn with our good friend Dr. Bill and his staff. And believe me, they're a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They love them all, and they can take care of them all. Please get a hold of them today. And don't forget, your pets need to have proper identification, and they can have what you need for your dogs, kitty cats, whatever. Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn. It's true, 678-1177. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. And real fast, too, we want to remind you about our friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, his family, his staff, all serving you at a time of need. When there's the passing of a loved one, believe me, they are there to uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Don't forget the number, don't forget the name. 436-5636. Telephone number for Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Frosty Woldridge on the program, and he has written an absolutely amazing and outstanding story called 21st Century Anchor Babies, Born in the USA. This is excellent. Give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of the story so we can talk about it, Frosty.
Well, thank you, Zeb. And to each and every one of you listening to the Zeb Bell Show, I bring you the facts as a citizen journalist, and one of the great heinous activities that's been going on for the last 40 years is that an average of 350,000 pregnant, illegal alien migrant mothers come to this country. There's actually birth websites out there from China, from India, certainly from Mexico, from Brazil, from all over the world to come to America and birth the child here, and it's about 350,000 do that every year. And it's a violation of the 14th Amendment, which meant for slaves back in 1865, but our Congress refuses to do anything. And I want you to know that your two senators and your House rep there in Idaho and will do nothing and have done nothing, and neither have the ones before them, just as my two senators and House rep have done nothing, and the entire Congress has watched this abuse continue for the last 40 years. And what it means is when a mother births the baby, the child gets an instant citizenship, again, in violation of the 14th Amendment, and your senators and your House reps don't do anything to stop it, and you get to pay for it. You pay K through 12, their education systems. You pay breakfasts and lunches, and you pay for the Section 8 housing for the mothers so that the kids can have a place to live. You pay for prenatal, postnatal, and, of course, any kind of congenital disease that they may come into birth with or have Down syndrome. You're paying up to $500,000 per child. But then when you think about the cost of ESL courses at $2,000 a year for 9 months throughout their schooling, and then you talk about it costs $2,000 a year just to feed them, and then you talk about the food stamps, and then it's about $8,000 a year to educate a child on average. This gets into the billions and billions of dollars. And so this three-part series is meant to inform you and to help you understand. I worked with the RN, Stephanie Gabbard from Montana, and she gave the facts and the figures. And what I'm hoping is it creates a national discussion. We need to stop anchor babies and abuse of the 14th Amendment and stop instant citizenship for all of these illegal alien mothers and their children.
You know, and your point, and I'm going to give it in layman's terminology and not as eloquent probably as what you had written in the story, but the point of these people, these women, and they're breaking the law. Let's emphasize that and underline it. They are breaking the law to get here, and then we are rewarding them with citizenship of their children, and then later a chain migration of the rest of the family. Are we dumb or what?
Well, we, the American people, are simply too lazy, too apathetic, and too clueless to call up our senators, call up our House reps, and tell them to stop this practice. Because if we really understood the unbelievable financial consequences and the disruption of the English language in our country and all of the welfare that goes out to these people and their children, you're just giving your tax dollars away by the billions of dollars, and for every one of us who struggles just to pay the rent and the heat and take care of our own families, this is an absolute abomination against the American people, and it's being sponsored by the U.S. Congress because, again, none of our senators and congressmen are doing anything about it and haven't for the last 40 years.
Well, and that's really true, but here you have in this country right now, Frosty, and how do we address this and how do we overcome this? If you're not in favor of something and because of the way you were raised and your biblical beliefs or whatever, now the left minimizes you and turns the tables on you and makes you look like you're the evil person for not going along with the tide. How do we overcome this?
Well, there needs to be more of us who stand up for personal accountability and personal responsibility, and there needs to be more of us that take this broken law, this breaking of the law, and demand that we become, again, a law-abiding nation where everybody pays attention to and adheres to our laws, and that means all of these people that are coming into our country illegally. Notice that Trump has stopped this massive refugee influx into our country. I just saw your latest ad where it's trickling into Twin Falls now in Idaho. Well, that's good because Trump is saying we don't need any of these refugees. Help them in their own countries. But we need more of you, the listener, out there across this country, and I know you're listened to across America and across certainly Canada. You've got to get into that senator's office, and you've got to call them up and visit them or call them or email them. And again, numbersusa.org. I just sent 4 faxes in this morning. The key is you've got to stand up for the rule of law, and whatever the left or the liberals want to do in their particular bailiwick, let them do it. But there needs to be more of us who are responsible American citizens and say, no, I'm tired of this breaking of the law. I'm tired of anchor babies. I'm tired of chain migration. I'm tired of diversity visa migration. And this is my country. This is our country. Our kids' future depends on our actions today. That's the key, Zeb, I think, and it is your personal actions out there. Every person listening today should call up your 2 senators and House rep and tell them that you want a stoppage of chain migration, you want a stoppage of diversity visas, you want to cut all immigration down to less than 100,000 per year or even completely shut it down, and that you want the anchor baby phenomenon stopped. Because if you don't do anything, then it will just continue as it's continuing right now.
Absolutely. Now we have a caller with you for a question. And caller, go ahead, please. Quickly, you're on the air.
Well, Zeb, Frosty, I've been calling my senators and congressmen, and I've used every method I know to get some sort of response. And I know if enough of us call, maybe there is a little bit of movement. But I tell you what, even then, I don't know if it works. The only thing that seems to scare them is the fact that they're not going to get elected. If you look at the governor's race here in Idaho, they're working their behind off because they all want to get elected. But you see, my point is how do we get our government to do what we want it to do? We elected Trump, and we thought that was, and it's helped. But let's look at what they're doing to him. And every day you're just exasperated about whether or not he's going to be able to finish what he started. And will the midterms be bad or good? And will he get reelected? The anxiety is killing me. I'll hang up.
Frosty, respond to the caller, if you would, please.
His exasperation mirrors my own exasperation. His words echo my own exasperation. Our leaders are not doing the bidding. They're not following the laws of America. Every employer of an illegal alien should be in jail right now. Every landlord who literally allows an illegal alien to rent their apartment should be in jail. And everyone who transport illegal aliens should be in jail. And yet that's not going on to the degree that it should be to stop this invasion of our country. And so I am just as exasperated and frustrated as you are. The only key, of course, is that we've got to elect new and fresh individuals who are going to adhere to America's laws. We certainly need to bring in the term limits, of 10 or 12 years maximum for any senator and all House reps. Get them in and get them out and get new, fresh blood that thinks about and stands for the American way of life. That's the only way that I know how to do it, and it has to be that we and more of us participate in this great thing. It's called We the People, and we, the people, must do this, because if we don't, the same old thing is going to continue, and the exasperation will be the same as the callers.
And what I thought about, I'm just going to voice an idea that I just had on the air this morning. I've only got about 2 minutes left in this segment. But I would really encourage you to think about this and let me know whether you think it's a good, bad, or indifferent idea, that maybe we have a full week every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, of you on at a certain time, and we look at a problem connected to illegal immigration and what's happening in this country, and we really expand upon it in 4 days straight on this program with the topic called We the People. I'm sick of being called a hate monger. I'm sick of being called a bigot, because I stand up for what this country used to stand for when I was a young man.
Zeb, that would be fantastic. As you know, I'll be gone in Texas, so I won't be on the show on the 23rd, but I'll be back on the 30th. If you can put a 4-day together, I'll work on that while I'm down in Texas, and we'll go to it. And if you want to make it a 4-day plus another week of 4 days, I can absolutely have one theme per day that will just knock everybody's eyeballs out with what it's costing us and what it's doing to our country, because my new book is coming out in October, America's Overpopulation Predicament, Blindsiding Future Generations. We can take it right out of my book, so I would love to do that with you, Zep. We desperately need to educate the American people as to what's coming with endless immigration, both legal and illegal.
Absolutely. Frosty, I wish you Godspeed. We'll miss you on the program next week, but I'll be in touch with you on the telephone later on today. Thank you so much for being on the program this morning.
God bless and Godspeed.
Thank you very much. Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Sean, over at the main studios, if you turn your mic on, I know that you and I discussed that there were some kind of atmospheric discrepancies. How's it coming through this first half hour of this hour?
It's sounding a lot better. We haven't been getting any of that crackling, so maybe the wind died down.
I hope so. If at this time, if you would, my dear friend, how about a good word for Bob Nonini, and then I'll take it back right after the ad. Thank you very much.
Bob Nonini, candidate for lieutenant governor, a principled conservative, successful small business owner, legislator, and leader in Idaho. Bob Nonini has earned a 100% rating from the American Conservative Union and received an A+ rating from the National Rifle Association. Bob Nonini, Idaho roots, conservative values, proven results.
Hi, I'm Bob Nonini, and I'm passionate about becoming your next lieutenant governor. Being an Idaho native, I grew up understanding the values of hard work and dedication. Overzealous federal regulations have driven natural resource-based industries out of Idaho. As lieutenant governor, I will advocate for legislation allowing these industries to responsibly operate, providing jobs and continued economic growth. Idaho needs strong leaders who allow their faith, experience, and integrity to do what is necessary in creating a better life for our residents. Experience matters. Experience counts. The choice is clear. Idaho needs Nonini on May 15th.
And thank you.
To elect Bob Nonini for Lieutenant Governor. Scott Hogue, Treasurer.
I did it again. Came in and cut off the treasurer. I didn't mean to do that. Good morning, everybody, and we're going to have our next guest with us in a few minutes. Want to remind you that on Tuesdays at 9:30, we have a segment called Vicky's Country Garden, Gardening for Idiots, named after me. I'm getting better at being a gardener, though, and you can, too, if you listen tomorrow morning on Tuesdays at 9:30, Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South 600 West of Paul, and they are celebrating 21 years in business. All your gardening needs at Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. And another great business we want to highlight, our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Holy moly, they're having a newly expanded sleep center and a closeout mattress event. Listen to this: plush queen sets $3.99, deluxe plush queen sets $5.99, premium Euro top queen sets $6.99. All of this and more at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And you know Jeff and the rest of the crew there to serve you. Spruce up for springtime at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Thank you very much. And one more good word, and then we're going to have our guest come on the program this morning, and that word, of course, is for Let's Ride. Absolutely, this is where the fun is sold. Don't forget Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. All the four-wheelers, all the side-by-sides. That's not bragging, that's a fact. And they've got the best accessory department and super top-notch people in their service department to keep you running and enjoying the great outdoors. So be sure and stop over today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And it's true, this is where the fun is sold. Let's go to the phone line right now on a busy Monday as we get really into the political primaries. And we're going to talk nothing to do with maybe our local primaries, but we're going to be talking about nationally with the young millennials maybe going to the polls and trying to decide our election coming up in November. With us is Brian Boucher, and he has, of course, the Chief Operating Officer at the Millennial Solution. Good morning, Brian. How are you? Is Brian there? Sean, is Brian on the phone with us?
Yeah, sorry, I turned the wrong one on.
All right. Let's have him on the air this morning. Good morning, Brian Boucher. How are you?
Hey, Jeff, good to be with you.
It's really good to have you on the program, and I guess I'm very, very concerned about whether the millennials are going to have that much control in the next election. Kind of give us a thumbnail sketch of what your thoughts are.
Yeah, absolutely. Millennials range in ages from 18 to as old as 36. Contrary to popular opinion, they're not just college students. And I think when it comes to Republicans or middle-of-the-road Democrats, neither one of those groups should expect or bank on the fact that millennials will not show up in the election in 2018 and 2020. Millennials are going to show up in the elections in the next two election cycles, and I believe they're going to show up big time. Now, the reasons that they show up, I'm not so sure that the emotional reasons they may dislike President Trump or other Republicans on Capitol Hill is necessarily the right reason to vote, but I can tell you that millennials are going to show up, and if Republicans and conservatives do not have a plan by which they're going to talk with and hang out with millennials around the country to generate support and trust, they're going to be in really big trouble.
All right. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you may be in that age bracket. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. I'm 29 years old, going on 30 in May.
All right. Now, the reason I ask that is, what are your thoughts? Where did these millennials get so jaded in their thinking of liberalism that they think that's the only way to go, against capitalism and pro-socialism, against Trump and pro-anybody that wants to run with a gimme program? Why? Why are they being jaded this way?
Phenomenal question. I personally am a constitutional conservative. The Constitution and the free markets are something I cherish very much as a business owner. I believe millennials, when it comes to millennials in the South and in the Midwest, are a mixed bag, and they tend to vote more conservative like their parents. But when it comes to millennials overall, they tend to lean more socialism, more Democrat. But here's the thing, and we quote this quote all the time. We often criticize the next generation as if we had nothing to do with creating or raising them. Millennials are a product of the schools they were raised in, the institutions they were taught in, and the parents that raised them. So what we're looking at right now, when it comes to frustrations with millennials, and they're emotional justifications for the decisions that they make in their life in terms of politics and other things, are what we have right now. When it comes to Republicans, though, here's the opportunity. 67% of millennials want to start their own business one day. Now, will all of them do that? Absolutely not. But there's a desire to do that. Republicans have the winning argument when it comes to entrepreneurship and the desire to do well by doing good. So Republicans need to shift to solving the economic problems of millennials with private sector solutions and encouraging and talking about entrepreneurship with millennials.
You know, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to absorb everything you said, Brian, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to be a little bit more harsh in my kind of accounting for these millennials and their way of thinking. I look at some of these millennials on television. I listen to these millennials, and I see them basically standing on a street corner making demands with almost a tin cup attitude, and they have no work ethic. They have no responsibility. Why in the world should I cater to these kids?
Phenomenal question. Millennials are motivated by different things. And the companies that we work with, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, leaders, and executives, we spend time optimizing millennial talent because this is a huge problem for America's companies in terms of the mindset and the motivation of millennials. I want to tell you that millennials, by and large, except for some extraneous outliers that MSNBC, CNN, and others put on television, millennials, by and large, are actually incredibly hardworking. Think about how hard they had it when they came out of college, right? Coming out 2007 through 2010, right around there, when the economy took a dive. Under the Trump administration, this is millennials' first opportunity at an up economy in their adult life to actually use their skills in the economy. So for millennials, that's a massive opportunity. But when it comes to their work ethic, it's the motivation that's the problem. When it came to Xers and boomers, we usually motivated people by saying, show up at work, do your job, punch the clock, get the check, get the pension in the long run. Now millennials are incredibly mission-minded. They want to know that their work matters and that it has a why behind it, that it has a purpose, that it serves people instead of just making money. They want to make money, but they also want to know that their work matters. So we have to motivate them through purpose and mission.
What's the difference, though, Brian? And I'm certainly not trying to arbitrate with you because I have the utmost respect for you as a millennial owning your business and really trying to make something out of the years that God gave you on this great earth. But what's the motivation for these millennials when you just a moment ago used the words how hard they had it when they came out of college? Those are the exact words that you used. Really, they didn't have it, nor do they have it, any tougher than I did when I came out of college. I had a lot of debt. I had to figure out how I was going to make my career that I had chosen profitable. I had to really knuckle down and burn the midnight oil to be successful. What is the big difference between these kids today and when I had it 30 years or 40 years ago?
There's certainly some overlap in the experiences of anybody coming out of school, making it, deciding what their gifts and talents were, and applying it to the marketplace. But in a very big fashion, millennials face the greatest amount of student debt in history, student debt and student tuition rates that climbed well faster than inflation. They come out now on average with over $38,000 in undergraduate debt alone, some more if they decided to stay for a master's because of a not-so-good economy when it comes to jobs. But here, think about it this way. Millennials were told their entire life, get a good SAT, get a good GPA, go to college, get a job. And it was almost spoken to them with such a repetition that it became a promise. And it probably did create a sense of entitlement. Well, I did everything my parents and my administrators at school and my guidance counselors told me to do, and it didn't happen. So many millennials came out, whether out of their master's programs or undergraduate programs, working jobs at Starbucks and otherwise, essentially overeducated baristas, not getting the opportunity that they thought they would have if they went to school, worked hard, got the papers, and did what they were told to do. That promise didn't come true. And when they came out of college, it was a tremendously down economy, especially right there in the neighborhood of 2007, late 2007, 2009. It was incredibly challenging. In fact, this is the first opportunity for them to experience an up economy right now under the Trump administration.
Okay, but Brian, will you indulge an old man, old enough to be your grandfather? Will you indulge me this, that I did not force them to go to school and major in ceramic pottery. I did not indulge them in the fact that they had to take out a whole bunch of student loans. That is their problem and their responsibility. I know many young millennials that are your age or in your age bracket that are owners of restaurants and other great businesses that really have their feet lined out on a path that's going to make them and keep them successful. And I have a hard time respecting a lot of these kids that created their own debt because of what they tried to major in that's not going to be a productive career.
Well, let's go to a core issue. The core issue actually wasn't the college debt, the college choices, the major choices. The core issue is that when they were being raised, by and large, whether through parents, school, or otherwise, millennials weren't necessarily taught how to think critically. They're a very educated generation, but they weren't taught how to think critically in terms of ROI, in terms of investment in education into a career path that's going to produce wealth and give them an opportunity to have a leg up. I also do appreciate all the millennials you're talking about. I'm one of them. Here in the first quarter of this year, our business has quadrupled. We're helping more companies and more organizations than we ever have in our 5-year history. We are killing it. But not all millennials necessarily found those mentors that taught them how to problem solve and build businesses and all those things. I'm not saying they're entitled to that. I would actually encourage them to look for those things. But when it came to school, I mean, there are parents that I knew when I was growing up that essentially didn't give their kids a choice. They had to go to school. They had to go to college. But I'm not sure they were taught how to problem solve and focus on getting a return on investment. And I think that that's where the problem came when it came to choosing degrees that didn't produce anything.
I agree with your concept there, Brian, and I think it's good that we have these discussions, but my fear as a older gentleman in our society is that we're going to have a takeover of some of the social values in this country by millennials that, and I'm going to be very blunt here, many of which want a government handout system, and they want it all for them with the exclusion of other people, whether it's Social Security or whatever. They want to see everything for them and not look at the entire picture.
I think that's a fair critique of this generation. I think I want to try to get away from the concern and the fear side of things when it comes to the generation. I believe that really at this point, when it comes to conservatives and core constitutional values, it really does have to be victory at all costs. I mean, these Republicans, and I know there are congressional candidates or congressional staffers or whoever listening to the sound of our voices right now on the radio, if you're not talking to this generation differently, if you're not motivating them to be entrepreneurs and problem solvers and incredible innovators in this time, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to retain constitutional free market values in this country in this time.
Let me ask you this question for all the people that you visit with, Brian, and you, of course, with your company and the folks that you work with probably can answer this better than any senator or any congressman. But do the millennials in general really understand politics, the good, the bad, the ugly, our Constitution, our value system in America? Do they really understand it? Because I don't want to see that cast asunder.
No, they don't when it comes to the Constitution especially. Millennials, by and large, do not understand the day-to-day impact that the Constitution has on their daily lives. They don't understand the benefit and the freedom that comes from a free market. So you have to talk to them in different terms. Whether insert your, conservative talking head, whatever it is, or any kind of senator or congressperson screaming about retaining and saving and restoring the constitutional principles of this country, that rhetoric doesn't work. Generation millennial is a show-me generation, not a tell-me generation. So you have to show them how to be entrepreneurial. You have to show them the value and the benefits of a constitutional free market economy. You have to show them that closer government, that local government is better. But you have to show them the benefits. Conservatives, the general approach with the Constitution is it's kind of like car buying. They're like, here's a car. It's really good for you. It'll be good for vacation and all that kind of stuff. You need to show millennials that what are the features of the car? What are the features of the Constitution? What are the benefits? What are the economic benefits? What are the free market benefits that you can get from this kind of environment to achieve your dreams? That's how you have to talk to millennials about the Constitution and today impacting their lives.
I agree with you, but Brian, would you also concede, and this is kind of like beating the horse to death here on this one point, but wouldn't you agree that the millennials, in my opinion, not all of them, please don't misunderstand this, because I know so many that are really dedicated family and business entrepreneurs, but millennials in general today, they seem to be afraid of conservative ethics and Christian viewpoints. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I think that the messaging is what has to change. It's how we talk about it that has to change. The responsibility is on the leaders that want to be in power to restore constitutional Christian principles to this country. They've got to determine how they're going to speak with and interact with and develop trust with this generation when it comes to our core values.
So are you optimistic or still unsettled and pessimistic about the millennials and that ballot box when they throw that lever, possibly to be Democratic and liberal? How afraid are you that we're never going to see America the way it used to be or what our forefathers wanted?
I have no choice. I can't be pessimistic. I can only reach back into the words of Winston Churchill, like I just said. We have no choice. America is one of the most beautiful countries in the history of the world. Our government, one of the most incredible experiments in the history of the world. The opportunity that affords me and my family and my fellow millennials, even if they don't know it yet, is the most beautiful thing available to them. For me, it's a victory strategy, and for Republicans, it has to be the same. And I see a lot of fear on Capitol Hill, Senate, and Congress. We're working with some congressional campaigns right now. And I know that there is a solution to it. We have it. We know how to talk to this generation based on over a decade of research. We have to achieve victory. We can't afford the 1,000 years of darkness or whatever quote or reference you want to make when it comes to the next generation. We have to determine our strategy and our path forward and show the benefits of a constitution and a free market.
Brian, let me ask you one final thought here. Give me a relatively short answer on this. Is the answer, in a very simplified form, is the answer term limits to get more people involved in the process? What's the answer?
The benefit of term limits, of course, would be to speed up the process by which, we determine whether somebody's doing a good job or not. I mean, I think term limits would allow us to speed up the process and say, this guy, well, we didn't make a good decision there. He's done in a couple of years. Here in Virginia, our governor only serves 1 4-year term. So if you get a bad one, it's not too long before you have an opportunity for something new.
And I really enjoy you coming on the program, Brian. You're a very sharp young man, and your business, of course, the Millennial Solution. I say thank you for coming on the program. You're welcome here anytime. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Deb.
Brian Boucher, thank you. And interesting conversation and a little bit spooky. No, it's very spooky to think that the millennials could storm the polls, the voting booths, and outnumber the GOP 2-1. Think about it. And are they really informed and up to speed as to what's going on, not only with our current situation, but also our Constitution and the value system of the United States? I'm a little bit more than worried. Oh, my goodness. Right now, I want to remind you, if you get a good horse, ride it. And when you get a great representative for District 27, keep him. Re-elect Fred Wood, District 27 representative on May 15th. Fred Wood, integrity serving you. Paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood. Steve Westfall, treasurer. Right now, it's time for our weather. And I know old Sean over there, he's kind of like a vulture on the button waiting to push the weather. But first of all, we got to tell everybody about Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are the best at what they do, and believe me, this time of the year, they are very, very busy. Tax return preparation, tax planning, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this and more for you, your family, and your business. They have 2 locations in Rupert and Burley. Don't forget the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Monday, and, well, you know, it's a typical Monday, especially day before tax day, and it's springtime. So we're looking at 40% chance of rain showers for today, possible snow showers for tonight. Yep, I did say the S word. High of 48 tonight, low of 31 tomorrow. Partly sunny and breezy. Looking at winds out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour, gusts possible as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 47, partly cloudy and breezy for tomorrow night with a low of 28. For Wednesday, mostly sunny and 54. Wednesday night, more clouds are going to roll in with a low of 36. 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast for Thursday with a high of 56 as we kick off the weekend on Friday, mostly sunny and 61. That's your weather for Zeb at the Radio.
And thank you, Gina. Excellent job on our weather forecast. And it's brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. These folks really serve you, your family, and your business. And they can help you if you're expanding on your business or your corporation or want to hire more employees. Please get a hold of them today. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. Sean, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit and turn your microphone on. Sean's filling in for Wheels, I think, for what, 1 or 2 more days? What's the schedule over there?
Today's the last day. He's coming back tomorrow.
And then you're going to go out the door screaming, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, right?
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hey, seriously, you're doing a good job, but what's the weather doing right there? I've got snow sticking on the ground here.
Looking out the window, there's a little bit of water that's on the window, so I'm assuming it's sprinkling right now. It's really windy. Other than that, it's southern Idaho weather.
Well, yesterday we were up in Nampa at my son's, and we were sitting outside visiting with iced tea in shirt sleeves. And today I'm huddled in this little studio looking at the snow. This is really stupid springtime weather. But we'll have more about the weather updates as the day goes along, thanks to Gina, and she does a great job. Right now, we'll take some calls, so give us a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call to come in, I want to remind you about our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The very best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more through the professionals that are serving you. They're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you need to do, you've got to kind of take it upon your shoulders. You call the number, make an appointment at 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You be sure and give them a call today. Really nice people. And when I say nice people, we want to remind you also, we say thank you to all of our politicals that are running for office, including Lee Hyder. Re-elect Lee Hyder for State Senator, District 24. The best always stand the test. Idaho Senator Lee Hyder is one of the best. His diligent perseverance to author the right to hunt and fish, and he's serving Idaho's for future generations. Don't forget, vote May 15th for a man that's devoted to Idaho, serving Idaho, and serving you. Vote for Lee Hyder, Senator, District 24, paid for by Lee Hyder for Senate, District 24. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436. Excuse me for the raspy throat. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In a couple of news notes that I didn't get a chance to talk about in the last hour, the Country Music Awards were held last night. I did not see them. I was not home and available to watch them, but I do know that former Oklahoma singer Jason Aldean won the Entertainer of the Year award. That young man has seen some personal real highs and some personal real lows. Kind of a roller coaster career, and back on top, Jason Aldean with the winning of the Entertainer of the Year. Let's see what else have we got here. Oh, and from Delaware all the way to Wyoming this last weekend, gun rights advocates and supporters gathered at many state capitals all across the country. Good for them. Good for them. They were very peaceful. They were very organized. They were very thoughtful, and they gave a lot of insight to news reporters and everything. And I say kudos to them. Gun owners of America and gun supporters of our Second Amendment, as I said, from Delaware all the way to Wyoming, with marches all through the weekend, and I certainly respect them for taking the time and getting out in front of the public and stating their case to keep the Second Amendment. All right, let's see what else have we got here. We're going to have, in just a moment, a good word for Tommy Alquist, and then we're going to go up to the news. But I want to remind you, too, that the Rupert United Methodist Church at 605 H Street, they're going to have their annual yard sale. Boy, better not hold it today. It's going to be on May 5th, and they want everybody to be aware of it. Donations are welcome, and if you have more questions about their yard sale coming up on May 5th, call 436-3354. That number again, 436-3354. Right now, we're going to have this word for Tommy Alquist, and then Sean's going to take us up to CBS News. Here we go into the last hour, and may I be the first to say, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. It's snowing out there. Good morning on a Monday, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a big spring tire sale going on right now. And of course, some of our great advertisers, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you about some of our great folks that are involved in politics for the primaries. Kent Searle wants your vote to become District 3 Cassia County Commissioner on May 15th. Kent Searle, lifelong resident of Cassia County, has the experience and says together we can make Cassia County even better. Kent Searle for District 3 Cassia County Commissioner May 15th, paid for by the committee to elect Kent Searle, Dan Gammon, Treasurer. And we also want to acknowledge that on Thursdays we have a great segment called Cassia County School Days, and we're very, very thankful to our 2 special sponsors. First of all, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. They've got everything in that store. It's a family store, all the baby clothing and the baby furniture, and they've got all those Cherokee scrubs everybody likes to wear because they're so comfortable, and gift wrapping is free. I suggest you stop in today at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And the other sponsor is Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Oh my goodness, life-saving colonoscopies, outpatient surgeries, and they want to save you money. Please give them a call. Find out more. 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you on Thursdays at 10:10 Cassia County School Days. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and our next guest, he was on not too many weeks ago, and he is a life transformation expert. My goodness, what does that mean, Ralph Peterson?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Whatever it is.
Good to have you on the program again, Ralph. It says here on my cheat sheets that you are a life transformation expert. How does one get to be a life transformation expert?
It's actually quite easy. You have to transform your own life from where it shouldn't be to where it should be, and you learn a lot of things along the way. You become an expert.
And you know, I couldn't agree more. Now, I understand that you had a weight problem, and you said to yourself, finally, not going to be that way anymore. What did you do, and what made you change?
Absolutely. At my heaviest, I weighed 350 pounds.
Wow.
So I was really, I was going to say heavy. I was obese. I was very, very big. And then, a lot of things led up to my deciding to no longer treat myself so poorly. And truthfully, what it came down to is I just wanted to be a better person. I wanted to be a fit person. I didn't want to be the fat brother. I didn't want to be the fat friend, the fat son. And it took a lot of work, but I was definitely worth it.
Well, you said in one of the information sheets that I have here, Ralph, you said something about that Rush Limbaugh saved your life. Explain that to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so Rush Limbaugh saved my life because I had never heard of Rush Limbaugh, and I heard him on the radio. I heard this guy on the radio talking to a caller, and the caller had called in complaining about his lot in life, saying that things were unfair, and he just couldn't seem to get ahead. And Rush was really chewing him out, saying, you live in the greatest country in the world, you have everything at your feet. If you don't have the right education, you can go back to school and get the right education. If you're not liking the career you have, you can get a new career. This is the greatest country in the world. It's up to you to do it. And I got to tell you, before hearing Rush say that, I had never heard anybody say that. Nobody had ever just said that, listen, you are where you are because of who you are and the decisions you've made. It's your fault. And that's the good news, because that means you can make the decision to change.
Well, yeah, but Ralph, wait a minute. Wouldn't you agree that in today's society, personal responsibility is almost a dead issue?
Unfortunately, everything that we see, especially when it comes to news, we're always talking about seeing the worst of us. But I don't think it's a dead issue at all. I think for many, personal responsibility is simply the way it is. People just simply know that they're the ones in charge and responsible for themselves. I, to your point, definitely needed to hear Rush Limbaugh put it in a context so that I could hear and understand it. And many people perhaps do, but I don't know that everybody does.
Okay, so you're sitting in front of the television set and you're watching, let's say an NFL game on Sunday afternoon. Most of the commercials are geared so that when there's a timeout, you run to the refrigerator or the food chest and you come back with a bunch of snacks, whether they're pretzels or Cheetos or maybe a can of beer. Our life is geared for that kind of advertising. How do you overcome that?
Boy, how do you overcome that, especially as a child? How do you overcome that as a kid? That's a really great question. It's a problem facing parents and everyone right now, because advertisers are pretty fantastic at getting you to crave those grab and goes. So I got to tell you, for me, stop bringing that stuff home. It looks great on television. You don't need to bring it home. If it's not in your refrigerator, you're fine. It's like the whole adage. A lot of people say that the problem with overweight kids nowadays is because they're staying home playing video games.
Yep.
And I would say that's true, except if you put that video game, the television, and everything out in the middle of a field, away from the food, away from the chips, away from the corn pops and all that stuff, they would not get heavy. It's all just sitting, mindlessly snacking, the overeating. That's what we got to get away from.
In your case, Ralph, and I don't mean to pry the crowbar into your personal file, but what happened to Ralph Peterson? What made you want to have and I'll say it this way, a total lack of respect for yourself and get as big as you were?
So that's a really, really fantastic question. It seems as though there are two things going on at once. One, it's not so much at first that I didn't like myself. It was just simply that, eating a little extra or going up for seconds because the food is good, or having some popcorn while you're watching a movie, or finishing the bag of potatoes, just kind of, it was not an escape, it was just kind of there. But then, when you do get heavy, when you're no longer tying your shoes on the front, you're actually tying your shoes on the side of your shoe because you can't bend straight down, you start to hate yourself. And all of a sudden, you're using food and everything else, alcohol, anything, to almost go, when you start, you have that at once, you're like, gosh, I shouldn't be doing this. But then you're already so overdone, you're like, screw it. And, screw it, screw me, screw everything. And that's what really happens. I don't think the overeating came first. I think the overeating kind of, to your point about the advertisers, I kind of maybe gave into the advertisements and then got to a point where I was like disgusting and hated myself for it and embarrassed, humiliated. And
You know, when you reach that point, and Ralph, I'm going to ask you a favor to speak directly into the mouthpiece. I think you're on a cell phone and it's fading just a little bit on occasion. Okay. But when you reach that point of where you look in the mirror and you say, that's it, I've got to get rid of this person I'm looking at. Wow. What kind of a evaluation or what kind of regimentation, what did you do?
So I have been following Weight Watchers. So the first thing I did was I joined Weight Watchers. And I learned something very important right from the get-go. And that is how much food I should be eating every day. And then the second thing is how to keep track of how much food I was eating. Because up until that point, I was just simply eating however much I felt like eating. I grew up under the whole adage that you should listen to your body. Listen, my body was a big fat pig. I should never have been listening to my body. Ever.
So when you get to that point and then you make the changes, that is kind of the turning point in the road, but it also creates a lot of pitfalls. I went through a series of about, I'd say about 6 months where I got up to a point on my weight that I thought, man, I just can't live this way anymore. It was funny how when I went to the closet to get a pair of Wranglers that I always go to the cleaners and have them pressed and starched, they weren't fitting anymore, and I thought actually they were shrinking in the closet, but it was me. And when you start that diet, you've really got to be dedicated, and you've got to have a spouse or somebody that's going to crack the whip, or you're going to fall back into your old habits. Wouldn't you agree?
I do not agree. And let me tell you why. This is really big for me as well. I always thought somebody was going to come to my rescue. I always thought my wife was going to finally take the fork out of my hand. I always thought somebody else was going to stop me from overeating. Here's the truth. It was all on me. Either I wanted to take me seriously, either I wanted to start putting myself first, or I was never going to get it done.
Well, I really respect that. Now, let me turn the tables a little bit in our conversation, because on the information sheet that you sent me this morning, you were talking about State Representative Leon Howard of Richland, I believe it's Washington, correct me if I'm wrong, wanted to make it illegal to sell or give an energy drink to anyone under 18 years of age. And when I first saw this, I thought, no, I mean, I'm not in the business of advocating that the government should take charge over what we eat or what we drink or what we don't eat or drink. What are your thoughts on this?
I completely agree with you. In the state of South Carolina, but I completely agree with you. It's all about personal responsibility. I'm against banning most things, but this should be a wake-up call to all the parents out there who are buying these energy drinks for their children. I don't think that it's bad to have coffee or a latte, or if you want to have an energy drink, have an energy drink. Whatever the Mountain Dew or whatever the fine. I don't think it should be banned, but I think parents should be giving a warning. They should be given an education. Stop buying this stuff for your children. It literally can harm their health.
Okay, so here we are in a society, again, going back to television and the video games and the internet and the kids coming home from school, dragging their book behind them, and they come in the house and they sit down, and the first thing they do is maybe call about 37 of their best friends on their smartphone. How do we change society to get these kids off their butts and go out and play and be active?
I think the expectation and the standard set is what's been lacking. We just kind of accept and expect our kids to not be active. You've been out all day at school, so maybe you got enough physical activity at school, so you don't need to do any at home. I'm not really sure why that is. I must tell you that in order to change my life and how I teach others, the number one thing you have to start doing is getting more active. If you're serious, and this isn't even a weight loss issue, if you're serious about being stronger, mentally stronger, being a better thinker, being a better problem solver, being a better person, having more patience, exercise is the way to go.
Now, what about your current status? Are you at a point in your life where you've lost the weight that you want to stay at? Are you happy with the levels of consistency that you have now?
I am extremely happy. I weigh 200 pounds right now, which if you were to go to the standard graphs, I'm about 15 pounds overweight. But I don't feel 15 pounds overweight. I like the way I look and feel. But here's the thing. I am still following Weight Watchers. And I'm not trying to tout Weight Watchers because I think any of them work. I think Paleo works. I think Atkins works. I think Benny Craig's works. I think all of them work as long as you stick with it. The number one reason, or the number one thing that I must keep in my mind is that if I don't track, if I don't keep track of everything I eat every day, I will gain weight. Even though I've lost 150 pounds, it's been 5 years, I still need to keep track of everything that goes in my mouth.
Do you on occasion, and I think you and I the last time we talked about this, Ralph, I admitted that, I have a certain regulatory amount of food that I will eat during the day, and if I overeat, the next day I cut myself back. You have to be very diligent that way, but then also there are occasions, whether it's Thanksgiving or maybe Christmas dinner, you can go out and indulge as long as you're diligent to get back on a set pattern. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right. The only thing that I have found that's helped me, because I have always had a cheat day, and my cheat day was always on Saturday. And my cheat day on Saturday would always run into a cheat Sunday, which means I would have a cheat weekend. And sometimes roll into a Monday. And so in order to get control of my own quote-unquote cheating, is I started cheating only on lunch. So if I'm going to go out with some friends, or I'm going to have the Thanksgiving dinner, it's always going to be the lunch meal that I'm going to cheat on. I want to have a sensible breakfast, a sensible dinner, but if I'm going to cheat at all, it'll be at lunch.
Now, I'm going to ask you again, hold that cell phone really still. I would like you, if you're not embarrassed to tell us, I'd like you to tell us what a day in the life of Ralph Peterson is as far as what you eat and the various changes that you take from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What do you basically try to strive for every day?
So I have 30, so again, with Weight Watchers, I get 30 points a day. The points are calculated based on food content. So it's a gram of carbs, of protein, of fat, sugars, fiber, and they calculate these into points. So I get 30 points a day, but it doesn't matter if you had 2,000 calories a day. It's the same thing. And I try to eat 10 points for breakfast, 10 points for lunch, and 10 points for dinner. I recently have gone vegan, and maybe in the last 8 months, but only because of health. I just keep trying to get healthier and healthier and healthier, and so I'm a big grain person. I have a lot of oatmeal and rice and quinoa, a lot of vegetables and fruit, tofu. That's what I've been eating, a lot of beans.
Oh, I can tell you what, I will never resort to being a vegan, but I respect someone like yourself that has. I want to go back and ask you about something you said a few moments ago, Ralph. And if you don't agree with me, jump in the middle of me and tell me I'm wrong. But I think the graphs and the charts that a lot of doctors and insurance companies and everyone has, I think they are absolutely misleading, because you would be at that point, if everybody had to adhere to the different graphs, all the football players would be obese, all the basketball players would be totally out of whack with the graphs, everyone would. I think you have to find your own personal comfort zone for the amount of activity and exercise that you do daily and or weekly, and to heck with the graphs. That's my feeling.
I completely agree with you. Like I said, I think the graphs are a great starting point. It's a great reference. But I'm 15 pounds old.
Did we lose him? I hope not. Sean, I think...
I'm here.
Okay, good. Your cell phone's cutting out on occasion. Go ahead and pick it up from the graphs, if you would. Go ahead, Ralph.
I do agree with you. And that I think the graphs are simply a reference point. It's a great reference point, but it's not a be-all, end-all. Like I said, I'm 15 pounds overweight according to my graph, but I feel great. I think I look great, and that's enough for me.
Absolutely. Now, quickly, in the time remaining, tell us about the books that you've written, and have you addressed this problem?
Absolutely. My newest book is called Adventures in Dietland, How to Win at the Game of Dieting from a Former Fat Guy. And in this book, I not only tell you, I think it's important to tell you where I came from, how I got to 350 pounds, the day that I woke up fat for the last time, how I hit rock bottom, and then, well, I actually hit rock bottom, and then I fell down a set of stairs. And then I give you what I came up with, my 50 rules on how to lose the weight. 50 rules to include quitting the gym, burning your fat clothes, eating alone, taking the stairs, not taking shortcuts, not buying food you shouldn't be having in the house, eating apples. It's a great book.
What you said something a moment ago. Again, elaborate on this. You said quitting the gym?
Yes, sir. So for me, the gym was always a place where I was going to get to. I always paid my dues to get to the gym. I was a gym member for years and years and years, but I hardly ever went. As a matter of fact, if I did go, I always overdid it. I always left the gym injured in some capacity. And so then it would be months again before I went back to the gym. It wasn't until I finally quit the gym and decided to simply start walking. Every morning I walk out of my house and I take a left or I take a right and I walk for 30 minutes, maybe 60 minutes. That's how I started to lose the weight. That's how I started to get healthy again and get fit again. Not by waiting until I can drive to some gymnasium. If you are overweight and you've been along to a gym for years and years, like I always did, quit that gym, get yourself some sneakers, and start walking every day.
You know, that brings me back to another point real quick about exercise. Do you have a daily regimentation of maybe working with some weights in your home or doing some cardio or doing the walking and or jogging or running? Tell us briefly about what your daily plan is.
I've been doing running. So I went from walking to jogging to running, and I just actually finished my 44th full marathon. So I've taken running to a little bit of an extreme.
Well, let me ask you where the book Adventures in Dietland can be found. I think it sounds like a great book, and I'm personally going to get a copy and read it and have you back. But where do they find the book?
It's on Amazon. It's on Audible. You can listen to it if you want to listen while you're driving your car or out for a walk. It's a great book to listen to while you go for your walk. It's on iTunes, Amazon, Barnes & Noble carries it.
Well, Ralph Peterson, I wish you well, and he is a life transformation expert. I've enjoyed having him on the program. Ralph, come back again. You're a good man to talk to. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, sir. Have a great day. Thank you. Ralph Peterson with his book called Adventures in Dietland. I'm going to have to get a copy of that book. Whoa, right now we've got to tell you about some of the great people that are running for political office, and one of those is a dear friend of mine. Jim Patrick wants your vote again to be reelected as state senator for District 25. Senator Jim Patrick says thank you to everyone who has supported him in the past, and he's asking for your vote again on May 15th. Jim, of course, a 40-year farmer and 20-year bank director. He understands business and he understands agriculture and water issues. He wants to be your senator again for District 25. Jim Patrick for state senator, paid for. Jim Patrick for senator, District 25. And also, let me make sure I got all my papers here put together. Airvana. Don't forget Airvana, defined as the ultimate level of comfort you'll achieve with the presence of a new Lennox home comfort system. And when you buy a new Lennox system at Ramsey Heating and Electric, you can get up to $1,700 in rebates. Airvana is just another great way to make you feel better. So call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online at Ramsey'sOnline.com. Coming up next half hour, I've been trying to get this gentleman on my program for well over about 3 or 4 months. His name is Dr. Tim Ball. and we're going to be discussing the absolute hoax and lies about global warming and some of the politicians on the left, etc. That's coming up right after the break at the bottom of the hour. But right now, we're going to send that over to Sean, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back into our last half hour. And it's really funny that it would work out this way, to have Dr. Tim Ball on our program this morning as we talk about global warming or climate change. As I sit here and gaze out my office window, it is snowing like it was December. Good morning, Dr. Tim Ball. How are you?
I'm just fine. And, of course, one of the things that's starting to make people wake up is the people pushing the human-caused global warming will tell you that the snow and the cold is due to warming. And that's so illogical that even the people that don't understand the science are starting to shake their heads.
You know, Tim, I hope you don't mind if you're offended. I hope not, if I call you by your first name. Is that all right?
Oh, please. Yeah, no, we don't need to stand on ceremony. The only reason we need the doctor and the titles is to show that I'm qualified, unlike Al Gore.
I like you already. Listen, I want to tell you, Tim, that I really want you to go in depth and tell my audience. I have been a real advocate against global warming and advocate against climate change. I have said that it's absolute bogus. It's nothing more than a means of controlling the populace. And our local newspaper has come out and, we've got to all adhere to global warming and climate change. Why is the left so hell-bent on getting us to fall in lockstep for their way of thinking?
Well, you mentioned the word control. That's what it's all about. And the reason that they chose global warming, they being the Club of Rome, who are the people that started all of this, they wanted something that was threatening the planet. They wanted to overcome nationalism and individual governments, and they wanted an issue that they could claim then that only the United Nations was capable of dealing with it, and we needed one world government in order to deal with that, and we needed to have a carbon tax worldwide collected by the International Monetary Fund. Now, that's effectively what the Paris Climate Agreement was about. So it was all about control. And, with people talking about fake news today, but the global warming due to human CO2 is the largest fake news story in history. And it's been going on for 30 years. They actually created the science that they needed to make their argument. But if I could just very quickly, the original idea isn't about global warming. As I said, that was the vehicle that was chosen to push their political agenda. The Club of Rome claimed, and people involved in that, by the way, were people like Paul Ehrlich and John Holdren, who was Obama's science czar, and people like this, Maurice Strong, Mikhail Gorbachev. The Club of Rome argued that Malthus was right, that the population would outgrow the food supply. Of course, we know Malthus was absolutely wrong. But they argued that human population would use up all the resources at an unsustainable rate. And, of course, that's where that term comes in. And they did a study called Limits to Growth. And so the idea was that everybody was using the resources at too fast a rate, but the people that were the real sinners were the developing nations that used fossil fuel to use resources at an even greater unsustainable rate. And Maurice Strong, who was a Club of Rome member, he, in a book, and you can read about this in Elaine Dewar's book, Cloak of Green, he said the problem for the planet are the industrialized nations, and isn't it our responsibility to get rid of them? And, of course, how do you do that? She said, well, why don't you run for politics? And he said, you can't do anything as a politician. I'm going to go to the UN because I can raise my own money from whomever I like and appoint anyone I want and control the agenda. And, of course, that's what he did through the United Nations Environment Program, And out of that came the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And, of course, if you show that the CO2 of these fossilized industries and countries is causing global warming, then you've got an excuse to shut them down. And that's the whole drive behind this whole thing. It's all about control. And, by the way, Dewar, after spending 5 days with Maurice Strong at the United Nations, this is what she concluded. Strong was using the UN as a platform to sell a global environment crisis and the global governance agenda.
Yeah.
There it is.
Dr. Ball, let me ask you this, and I'm just a simple old cowboy from Idaho, but what is their main point of contention? What is their point of consistency that they want with global warming / climate change? What do they want? Do they want all nations, all parts of the compass to adhere to a certain level of consistency? What really do they want?
No, it's not about the science at all. It's not achieving any goals of level of CO2. It's all about political control, pure and simple. And one of the things, of course, if you go and look up what Maurice Strong did when he created the United Nations Environment Program, people should become familiar with Agenda 21. Agenda 21 was an agenda for the 21st century that he introduced at the Rio Conference in 1992. And by the way, George Herbert Bush refused to go there because he said, that this is pure socialist politics. And Strong, as I said, he organized it. And by the way, if you want to see the impact of this man, he also in that same year was put in charge of all electrical production in the province of Ontario, which at the time was the biggest and most powerful province in Canada. Today, they are impoverished. I got a bill from a guy that's living in Ontario, and his use of electricity was 0 kilowatt hours. He paid $141 for it.
Wow.
And so this is Strong implementing his policy, but it's all about political control, about anti-capitalism, and so it's purely a left-wing political agenda.
Dr. Ball, let me ask you, you are the Chief Science Advisor of the International Climate Science Coalition, but right there, what do you do as a group, and are you respected as an entity by the news media?
Oh, no, not by the news media, because the news media have always been they are the water carrier for the power elite. So the mainstream media, and you see that not just in the climate issue, but everything else, all that we're doing at the International Climate Science Coalition is say to people, look, here's what you're not hearing. Here's the information you're not getting. And then you need to ask yourself why. We're not trying to impose our view on other people. It's like I gave a talk the other day to a large group, and my opening comment was, look, I'm going to give you a biased presentation. And I'll tell you that biases are only a problem if you're not aware of them. And the reason I'm giving you a biased presentation is that all you've heard up to now is a bias. And you can then take your bias and my bias and go home and make up your own mind. Because that's one of the things you see, the political thing, that people are tired of being told what to think and how to think. So that's what we're doing at the Climate Science Coalition. The other thing is that we're bound and determined that nobody will ever be able to say we weren't told that this was all a big lie and a big hoax.
Well,
and so that's another of our objectives. Now, if you choose to ignore it, that's fine. If you choose to say no, we don't agree with you, that's your choice. But you will never be able to say that you weren't told what was going on. So that's really what the objective is. And by the way, notice, this is the way they play these games, like, the 97% consensus of scientists. As soon as you hear the word consensus, you know it is not science. Science is not about consensus. As Einstein said, I could have 100 pieces of research show I'm right, I've only got to have one show I'm wrong, and it's all over.
Yeah.
And so consensus is a political word, not a scientific word, but this is how they're trying to persuade people that, the majority agree. I mean, it's implied in your question to me.
Well, and that's the whole point that I'm getting at, is that we live in a society right now where the lies and the innuendos of the left, they can still be accepted by the American public because the media keeps forcing it down their throat, whether it's television, radio, or newspaper. How do we overcome that?
Well, it's being overcome right now. And I'm going to read you a poem. That's going to sound odd to read you a poem. But this is from 1782. I made the comment just a couple of minutes ago that the mainstream media has always been the water carrier for the power elite. This is from 1782, and put that in the context of what's going on in America at the time. Okay, when Benjamin Franklin, when asked, the woman said, have you given us a republic or a democracy? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. And that's such a telling comment. But here's the poem. 1782, this was written by a William Cooper. How shall I speak of thee or thy power address, thou God of our idolatry, the press? By thee religion, liberty, and laws exert their influence and advance their cause. By thee worse plagues than Pharaoh's land befell, diffused make earth the vestibule of hell. Thou fountain at which drink the good and wise, thou ever-bubbling spring of endless lies. Like Eden's dead probationary tree, knowledge of good and evil is from thee. That's 1782.
Wow.
And of course, what's going on right now is not Trump, whether you like Trump or not. What is happening with Trump and with the Brexit in Britain, for example, is that the mainstream media are being bypassed. And I made a presentation in Phoenix a year ago, December, in which I argued that the final phase of the American Revolution is underway.
Right.
The first phase of it was, of course, free speech, and that's under attack. And the Founding Fathers knew you'd need guns to defend that First Amendment. And, of course, that Second Amendment's under attack. Private ownership of land, as you know, in the Midwest, the attacks on that by EPA and others. But the third phase of it is the access to information. The media and the power elite always control the information. The Internet has bypassed that. So Trump using tweet bypasses the Internet completely. But what are they trying to do? They, being the left wing. What did Obama do? He introduced net neutrality. Oh, well, these Internet providers, they're ripping you off. You need us to protect you. You're not big enough to stand up to them. We need net neutrality. What he was saying was we need to control this Internet because it's getting you information that we don't want you to have. And, of course, the Zuckerberg trial was exactly the same thing. And, I mean, it really was a trial. That's why they dragged him up there. That's all about controlling the Internet, which for the first time in history, the average person has access to information that was only available to the power elite before. So we're really seeing remarkable changes in our world. And I love Trump's comment, because who's trying to stop him tweeting the most but the swamp in Washington, including the media?
Absolutely.
And he said, I'll stop tweeting when you stop telling lies. And what's that line in that poem? Thou ever-bubbling spring of endless lies. And there it is.
Dr. Ball, let me ask you this in the time remaining, and I wished I had more time this morning, but I'll have you back. What about our education system? Our kids, whether it's kindergarten all the way up through graduate seniors in college, are being told that agriculture's bad, people that work and till the land are bad, that people that raise livestock are evil people. How are we going to overcome an education system that is absolutely biased and slanted against people that make their living in agriculture?
Throughout most of my professional career, I've worked with the agricultural sector, and I wrote a column for Country Guide, the largest circulation farm magazine in Canada, and I still write a column, I've done it for 10 years, a magazine called The Landowner. And this issue of the education, beyond just the agricultural sector, unfortunately, because of the way the economy became, both parents had to go out to work, and the school became a surrogate babysitting agency, but we also gave up what they were learning. Most parents have no idea what their kids are being told in school. And that's the first thing you need to do. The schools, of course, have become not places of education, they've become places of indoctrination. And I'll give you an example of how profound that is. When I started teaching in a university, the old professors had the prevailing wisdom, and the new young professors came in and challenged the old ideas. Now it's exactly the opposite. The old professors like me, and look at the age of the skeptics, are saying, hang on a minute, if the new young professors are coming in completely indoctrinated into the whole environmental and global warming issue. They've turned the whole structure of education upside down. Now, Ignatius Loyola, and was founder of the Jesuits, and it's not insignificant, for the first time in history, a Jesuit became the Pope, and he said, give me the adult and I'll give you the child. And of course, that knowledge that you educate the child and you can do what you want. The person that used it worst, of course, was Goebbels and his Nazi youth and the indoctrination process. Well, that's what the left wing have been doing. They took over the schools, they took over the teachers' unions, and people need to wake up. They are waking up. You're seeing a growth of charter schools. You're seeing a growth of homeschooling and so on. But it's much more profound than people realize.
Dr. Ball, that brings me to the last question for you this morning. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious is this problem of accepting climate change and the left with their feeling of more control over humanity? Can we change this, or have we gone too far?
No, I think we can change it. It's the same question I was asking about, because I knew how much Obama was changing the regulations and using the bureaucracy. Mary McCarthy, about 40 years ago, said bureaucracy is the rule of no one. It's the modern form of despotism. And the question I asked was, could the next leader, and when Trump got in, will he be able to roll back all that was done to change, to push this whole idea? And it's going to be touch and go. It's why they're attacking Pruitt, because Pruitt came in and did the most to cut back on regulations and control of land and control of agriculture. And of course, Perdue, as the Secretary of Agriculture, is doing the same thing. So it's going to be close. But I think that if we, as people start to wake up and start to ask questions and start to realize what's happening right now is the polls are showing the public know there's something wrong, but they don't understand enough of it, so they're keeping their mouth shut. They're doing what Mark Twain advised. If people think you're stupid with your mouth shut, don't open it and prove that they're right. And so the polls are showing that people don't consider climate change a concern. A 10 million people poll at the UN listed 16 concerns. Climate change was dead last. The Pew Center, which is a left-wing poll in the U.S., listed 33 American concerns. Climate change was 32nd. So the public are sitting by. They know something's wrong, but they are waiting for somebody to say, well, why are they doing this? What's the motive? And, of course, that was really implied in all the questions you asked me from the start.
Dr. Ball, quickly tell us about your book, Human Caused Global Warming, The Biggest Deception in History. Where can people find it? And give us a quick, real fast thumbnail sketch of what the book is about.
Well, it's very simple. It's a 100-page, in your pocket executive summary. It's done as true investigative journalism, which, of course, as you know, doesn't occur anymore. And it simply asks the questions and answers the questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. In other words, what did they do? How did they do it? And what are the impacts of it? So that's the synopsis. And by the way, to prove that I'm over the target, I have 3 lawsuits against me, all from the same lawyer, all from members of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And it's cost me $600,000 in legal bills so far to defend myself. And this is the other weapon that they're using. You see it in Washington, what's called lawfare, the use of law and in war. And but that's what the book's about, and that's why I wrote it.
God bless you, my dear friend, and I certainly hope you will come back in the future. Dr. Tim Ball, thank you for your expertise on this subject this morning.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for allowing people to hear the other side of the story.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll have you back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That man is a very good guest and tells it like it is and like it should be. Thank you very much, Dr. Tim Ball. Holy smokes, I've got to get a weather forecast on here. I'll be right with that weather. Stand by. Don't forget, integrity serving you. Re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood on May 15th. Fred has protected the economic value of Idaho's water. Fred has worked diligently to increase education funding and higher teacher salaries. And Fred has stood firm for tax cuts and low taxes with a small, efficient government. Don't forget, re-elect Representative Fred Wood, District 27 on May 15th. It's true integrity serving you. Paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, treasurer. Right now, it's time for our weather. Woo, almost out of time. And the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the crew. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats. I'm talking about marinated prime ribs, smoked hams, bacons, breakfast sausages, all of this and more at Scarrows Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Monday, and, well, it's a typical Monday, especially day before tax day, and it's springtime. So we're looking at 40% chance of rain showers for today, possible snow showers for tonight. Yep, I did say the S word. High of 48 tonight, low of 31 tomorrow. Partly sunny and breezy. Looking at winds out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour, gusts possible as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 47, partly cloudy and breezy for tomorrow night with a low of 28. For Wednesday, mostly sunny and 54. Wednesday night, more clouds are going to roll in with a low of 36. 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast for Thursday with a high of 56 as we kick off the weekend on Friday, mostly sunny and 61. That's your weather for Zeb at the Range.
And thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. She always does a very great, comprehensive weather forecast. Thank you. Brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, yes, it's true. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Delicious. It is snowing outside. Man, I thought I'd never say that on today, April 16th, after what we had yesterday up in Nampa, sitting around in our shirt sleeves, and today, snowing. Be careful out there. By the way, too, I want to say a big thank you and a shout-out to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a big spring tire sale. Tires like the Eclipse tire for your car, all-season traction, advanced tread design on sale. Or for your pickup trucks and SUVs, Open Country HT, quiet running, smooth ride on sale. Check out all the sale tires, all the different tread designs for your kind of driving. And don't forget, too, the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, and, of course, the best in service. They really take care of you. All 7 locations, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul. Don't forget Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Sean, thank you for filling in the last couple of days, and I appreciate it. I want you to know that, and I understand Wheels will be back tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
Any final thoughts other than correct?
Thanks for the snow.
All right, buddy, we'll send some more. Have a great day, and right now this word for Tommy Ahlquist, and then Sean will wrap it up and go to CBS News. The way things were, the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.